Hello everyone, welcome back. So tonight I figured I would dive into doing a little bit of stuff with Git. It is October right now, which is Hacktoberfest. So for those people who may not be familiar with Hacktoberfest, it's something that happens every October where DigitalOcean puts on effectively a promotion for people to try to get new people involved in open source. The idea is if you open up 4 pull requests that end up being accepted, you can earn a t-shirt if you're one of the first 40,000-ish people to do it. So it's fairly easy to do, and a lot of repositories and maintainers throw in on it just to try to help get new people along, typically leaving specific issues that are good for beginners, good for first-time people who may not be familiar with a repository, things that are often well documented and put in. Hey, Justin Bieber. Just as an easy way for people to get involved. But typically for October, I tend to do a stream focused on Git and Git Kraken. However, this year, GitCon from Git Kraken happened to land on this week, and there was a pretty cool announcement that came. So let me just pull it out. So one of the things that came out is Git Kraken launched this Foundations of Git. A certification course that you can go through, which is remarkably useful. You'll note enroll for free. So if anybody is interested, learn.gitkraken.com. That's the full link all the way in, but I'm pretty sure learn.gitkraken.com will get you all the way there as well. Let me just confirm that before I put my foot all the way in my app. Yeah, learn.gitkraken.com redirects into there. So easy URL. And if you enroll for free, you'll note I've already gone through and done it. There's only the one course in here for now, but you'll note it is free, which is important. And if you go all the way through the course, at the very end, you actually get a nice certificate that you can go through and share out to your various social media things and whatnot. And so you can see I went through, I passed the course. I'll be honest, I kind of breezed through it fairly quickly, but I've also been doing Git for many years. Even though this course is put on by Git Kraken, and they do show off the Git Kraken GUI as well as GitLens in various parts, the GUI applications are only shown as a way to visualize what's happening and to try to help bring some clarity to the lessons, because Git is not overly intuitive for a lot of people. But the actual test itself has no GUI components at all. It's all either Git concepts or Git CLI by itself. So if you are a person who doesn't like the GUI for whatever reason, don't feel bad. This is all about learning Git as a concept. We can come in here and I can hit replay. I'll just kind of call out some stuff. So some of it, I will pause it here. So one, huge props to Git Kraken. I'm going to move my window a little bit because you can't see what's behind this, because their video player has a playback speed. I absolutely hate it when I am forced to go through videos and I can't adjust the speed, because for me, I oftentimes play things back at least a little faster than normal speed, just as a way to get through content quicker. So if your brain works at that rate where you prefer a little bit faster, there is a speed change option. A lot of the material inside of here, you can see it's broken into chapters. So the welcome chapter is easy. It's just a straight video. And then they dive straight into repository basics. You can bounce around. A lot of it is video. However, there are quite a few text-based things that are either individual exercises where they kind of walk you through. And again, showing off the Git Kraken client, because this is from Git Kraken, so they do want to show off their tool, which in my opinion is the best one out there. But they walk you through linking it up to your GitHub, going through and doing it. Worth noting, if you aren't interested or some of this tech stuff is already familiar to you, you can kind of decide. You can just hit continue and jump on to the next one. I will say there's quite a bit in here. There was actually a handful of things that were good learning opportunities for myself, even somebody who's been doing this for a while. Sometimes those less used features or those tiny details that you may not always think about because you don't consume it are kind of easy. I actually liked how there's a decent amount in here that actually dives into the, let me make that a little bigger, that actually dives into your the Git directory and kind of the internals of how a lot of that stuff works, even going all the way down So a lot of these situational tools were really cool. Where was the one on? Yeah, so the work trees are awesome if you aren't familiar with the that feature. But there was one around the hooks that I thought was really good. Yeah. Which this is always this is one of those overlooked areas of Git that is always hard to do. That can really help automate your life. Effectively, Git as a tool has a bunch of, we'll call them injection points, where if you want to plug in a script, you can have Git say right on a pre-commit, so right before you actually make a commit, have it execute a script. And so there's a lot of times where people will do this to verify like various formatting tools have already been run on the repository or things like that. Great little way of handling it. The only thing that Git hooks kind of fail at a little bit is they aren't sometimes writing stuff in such a way and then sharing it between a large set of repositories or across a team can sometimes be a bit of a pain, but for what it's worth. There are a lot of the questions and tutorials at the end of each of these things, and I am intentionally not going to show the actual questions because this is a learning tool and people should learn. I will say these questions here during the individual chapters, you can, if you miss one, you can hit a retake, which is great. And just go back through and do it. At least when I did it, it seemed like you always got the same set of questions, which was interesting. I was kind of hoping there was a bigger set of them. But again, this is kind of new. I imagine they're probably working with a smaller set of questions. And then at the very end, there is an exam. So the exam itself, does it show? Shoot, I'm trying to blank. They use a third party to actually host the exam itself, just for some of the integrity stuff, I imagine. And so that they can have a nice certification bit for it. The exam is 60 questions long, and it you are given 90 minutes. And you can see here, I guess I'm showing my score. I got a 90%. So I don't know how many that means I missed out of 60 questions. I don't know what I missed 6. So, and the questions are all a mix of either multiple choice, there's some true false, there's some sort of, I've got a set of things here, match them up to the corresponding list on this side, just in how things go through. Every single question that you see on the exam, I'm pretty sure there's either a sentence or a thing in one of these texts, and it's almost word for word. Like if you've gone through and understand this material here, it's pretty easy. Again, I won't cover any of the specific questions, but just some pointers for people. And this kind of applies to a lot of basic test taking type things. If you see the words like always and never in a question, especially a true false question, you can just about guarantee that those are not going to be true. Very few things are always or never. So anything that's kind of is those strong absolutes usually is not necessarily the correct way that you want to go. The other thing is you can also go back to questions too. So there's a little mark for review at the end. So if you aren't sure, and oftentimes you can play questions off of each other. So occasionally there was a lot of questions over related content, things on like interactive rebase, for example, where you're going to probably see several questions about it. And so if you can't necessarily like remember all of the individual steps, you might see a list of the steps in a later question and then go back and fix the other one. So there's stuff like that that's, again, kind of basic test taking stuff where you can kind of play the test against itself to better your odds a little bit. There also, I'm trying to remember, it looked like there was free retakes on it as well. I'll be honest, I probably should have gone slower and paid more attention to the screens, but when I got through it, I was kind of just going next. I was on a bit of a time crunch, even though I had 90 minutes to do it. I didn't have 90 minutes available in my schedule, so I burned through it fairly quickly. I think I spent about 25 minutes on it. So the 90 minutes that they give you is very, very generous. You figure if there's only 60 questions on there and you've got 90 minutes, what is that, a minute and a half a question? You've got lots and lots of time. So don't let the time stress you out. Go through it. The question, because so many of the questions are very simple, like true, false, pick only one. The ones I usually find the hardest are where it's pick all. And so you're trying to look, like 4 answers and figure out, oh, okay, which one of these 4 are correct? And I can't necessarily say, well, I know this one's right, therefore the other one's wrong, because I have to figure out, well, is it these 2, these 3? Not always easy to do those ones. So, but I will say, very worthwhile course going through for learning Git. Even for somebody like me who's been doing it for years, there was a lot of useful stuff. Some of the early bits around commits, repository basics, that kind of thing was a lot of review. But a lot of the situational tools, like this goes everything from the very basics of what is a repository, how do I start using Git, all the way down into interactive rebase, patches, work trees, some of those more, I would say, more advanced concepts that a lot of people don't end up using, but very, like I said, very worthwhile. There is something in here for everybody. And then again, you get a cool little certificate. I mean, look at that. That's kind of pretty. Or at least I found it pretty. So if you want, and you can see you get a little certificate thing here that lines up with your ID and whatnot. So, huzzah! So if anyone's interested, I found this one to be quite useful. So again, highly recommended, learn.gitkraken.com. It's currently free. I imagine that even though there's only one course in here now, that the expectation is that they'll probably populate this with more courses. This would seem odd to have, my courses as a title and only ever have one course. Hang on, is there more courses? No, there's the all courses has one option. Yeah, so the moment there is the option. But the fact that this is a plural noun strongly implies that there will be more courses in the future. Okay, on the note of GitKraken, I wanted to call out one other thing. So version 8.10 released. And if you updated, so you will note this version has been withdrawn because there were issues with it. So there's been a variety of problems of various sorts that have ended up causing issues for people. A lot of them appeared to be on Mac. Some of them were on like Windows Server, where you might not necessarily have like the full GUI stuff working. Hang on one second. What is my Steam client is pestering me for something and I'm ignoring it. And I don't know. I kind of wonder if maybe the Electron update or similar did it. But you will note, for example, my GitKraken has this update ready, restart. And if I move it so my big head isn't covering up, you can see that I am on 8.10. And if I click this button, guess what happens? It reboots and once again prompts for update, which is just awesome. So if you do get yourself into a situation where you have this, the easiest thing to do is to just roll back and download the other one. I'm probably just going to, because one, I've had no issues on 8.10 myself. And there's been a lot of users I've seen say, oh yeah, it's fine for me. It seems very dependent on per system, as far as I can tell. So I'm probably just going to ignore the green button in the corner and move on my merry way, because I currently have not had any problems. Say that. But unfortunately, I got the update before it was withdrawn. So for what it's worth, if you do need to roll back, download the old version. I believe the download current version is now pointed at the 891 again. So that guy has, it's been effectively rolled back. I imagine we're going to see an 8.10.01 or 8.11 or something in the not too distant future once they track down all of that stuff. Okay. Hang on, I've been talking too much. Mountain Dew. Okay. So was playing around with some material design stuff, and I got bit by a bug. I know, shocking. Specifically, I got bit by this bug, and it was one of those, I hadn't ever really noticed it before, and I'm a little surprised I haven't run across it, because once it bit me, it was really annoying. And an annoyed developer is a developer who fixes bugs. So I got annoyed, so we're fixing the bug. You'll note I've assigned this issue to me. Oh, and I don't need evaluation required. I've evaluated. This is a bug. Well, I believe it to be a bug. Okay, so here's the issue. When you have a list box and you click on it and select an item, you see this nice gray border, right? The problem is when when the list box loses focus, the color of that gray gets really, really light to the point yeah. Oh, I have Zoom It running. One second. Zoom It. I should check. I think there's a new version of Zoom It, either coming out or did come out. The author posted this thing on Twitter saying there was cool stuff coming. Okay, so if we look really close, we can see that there is technically a darker gray here, but that is really light to the point of almost being worthless. Like, yeah, it's there, but whoo boy, that is not easily visible. So I decided to go look, and I'm like, okay, why is it like this? So the problem is when I pull open the material design spec, and I want to be clear, material design is a UI language. It is not necessarily a spec. It lays out how the UI should work and look. But if you're looking for a thing that says, okay, and your list box should do X, it's not going to give you. Which is both good and bad. It gives you some freedom to work with within some guide rails. But it also means that, especially for things like WPF, material design was never written for WPF. Right? It was written to be a more abstract thing that could be implemented by a variety of languages, but a variety of frameworks. But that means that oftentimes when the rubber meets the road and we have to make a decision in WPF about how something should look, how something should act, oftentimes I'm now trying to make a judgment call between how closely do we adhere to material design versus how closely do we adhere to default WPF behavior. Because typically users of this library expect one of two things. They either expect default WPF behavior or they expect the material design behavior. And sometimes those things conflict. So here, as I hover over the list items, we can see that there is that hover. And when I click on an item, yeah, it gets darker, great. And if I move my cursor off, we're fine. And if I tab, I've lost this, right? And it's almost like this example isn't great because it's like this thing doesn't have a concept of lost focus. It only really has a concept of selection. And this is one of those areas where I go, okay, now we've got a bit of a disjoint because a WPF control has the concepts of selected and unselected, but it also has the concept of focused and unfocused. And those are two different knobs. And I can have a combination of any of those in there. So I think what I would like to do is I would like to dial this back such that it's not nearly as bad as it is here. And it looks like this thing is this opacity here is actually problematic. Hey, I'm probably gonna butcher this. Zibnet Music. I apologize. I probably butchered your name. Thank you. Xenia Music. I think that I'm gonna go Xenia Music. Thank you. I appreciate the follow. So I think what I'm gonna do is dial this up so that it's not nearly as light, I think. So the other thing I did take a quick gander at, there is Material Design 3. And a common question that comes up with the Material Design and XAML library is, hey, is the Material Design 3 stuff ready? Can we use it? Let's see. How long have you been a C# developer? let's see, it's 2022. 5 I think it's been about 10 years. Trying to go backwards. Yeah, I think so. I think I have been working in a software development role in industry for about 10 years using C#. So, and I will say this, just for my brief software journey, when I graduated from university, I had an internship where I was working in C# before graduating. So I'm not sure how to count those years. And I was doing a bunch of stuff on my own. So 10-ish years, we'll say. So I've got a lot of expertise in C# and limited expertise in other areas. I'll say that. Because it's rare for anybody working in industry. Like, it's really nice to be able to focus and go deep on one language or framework. But it's hard to live in isolation. Very few things live in isolation. Okay, anyway, so I took a look at the Material Design 3 stuff because the Material Design example library does have some Material Design 3 styles. And so anybody who is interested in looking at them, there is a demo app for them as well if you want to play with them. What is there is ready. I will say this. What is there for the Material Design 3 stuff is production ready. The thing is not all controls have been ported. There is this guy here. So there is a list of changes here of outside stuff, being able to manage some of this stuff. So if you like one of the styles for the Material Design 3 things, have at it. Feel free to mix and match to your heart's content. Just know that not all of the controls are going to have a Material Design 3 stuff. Recently got an interview for C# WPF. Don't know if I made it. They'll still probably give me some code to do next. That's somewhat promising. In interviews, if the interview goes longer, that's usually a good sign. If it gets short, that's usually a bad sign. Short usually means that they've made a decision very quickly, and if they've made a decision quickly, it's usually a no. See, 45 minutes is probably good. I know, assuming that was the technical portion of it. Most of the time, you'll probably have a non-technical one. So what should I follow when doing any sample? So if it is that is a great question. So I am going to, I'm going to just do this real quick. I will give you a couple tutorials I've done that will point you in the right direction. So let's see. How long, or I guess, what is your background in C# and WPF? Maybe I'll start there. That's probably a good place to go. There is, let's see. I can probably, so depending on what you want to do, I assume you're probably, well, I guess I shouldn't make too many assumptions. If they're using latest stuff, WPF no experience, but C# about 4 years. Okay, so that's good. If they're using latest stuff, I'm gonna just start throwing some stuff out here at you. .NET Community Toolkit. So if you want to see sorry, spelling's hard. What? Oh, you doggone. Okay, so that one there covers the .NET Community Toolkit, which is probably the leading library for the MVVM design pattern. So do you have any experience with that pattern at all? Sometimes people come with some prior knowledge of it from the web world, where they've done something with like Knockout or similar. I realize that's old and I should probably use the word React, not Knockout now. Let me see, where's the other one? So there is also There's a clean architecture. Yeah, so if you're looking for, so there is a, so this one here, if you're looking for more of an architecture style setup, this one covers, I guess I could bring this guy over here. This one covers setting up a WPF app with dependency injection using the generic host. So people who come from an ASP.NET background will feel a lot more at home. It leverages a lot of the common patterns and brings a lot of the niceties of ASP.NET Core with their DI logging configuration into the WPF world. It's just that WPF predates all that stuff, so you have to bring it in to make it work. For an example, interfaces, using statement. Yeah, so let me take a look. I'm gonna just throw a couple more at you that are probably worthwhile taking a look at. There's that one there. Because it's unlikely that most WPF apps tend to have a database backend or similar, this may or may not be relevant. Sometimes people don't want their desktop apps going straight to the database. So in those cases, there might be a web service between it. This sample goes straight to the database for what it's worth. And then there is there's a slightly older one that I have, this one. This one, if you are just getting started with WPF, this is the one I would point you to initially. This one does not use the Community Toolkit. This uses an older one called MVVM Lite, which is the predecessor to the .NET Community Tool, or the Microsoft Community Toolkit. But this one, I go into a lot more detail of understanding the basics of the MVVM design pattern, which really boils down to how do bindings work, how do commands work, how to set up your view models, all of that stuff. Understand that in this code here, I'm going to be more or less writing everything verbosely. And that first link with the Community Toolkit will show you how to take a lot of this, like, for example, this entire content property that's spanning from line 11 to 23. With the Community Toolkit, you delete lines 12 through 23, and it just goes away, which is awesome because there's a ton of magic leveraging C# source generators, but sometimes it's good to understand what's actually happening under the hood and get a good grasp on that magic before diving all the way into it. So I would point you at those. I don't know how much time you have. I should warn you, my video streams are about usually in the 2-ish hour range. So it's all good in the hood. Yes, it is. So yeah, I realize I just dropped like 8 or 10 hours worth of videos on you, so I apologize. But yeah, and if you have questions, feel free to leave comments on the videos. I will point you to a couple repositories as well really quick. So if you would like to see some, so there are this repository here that I have. It's called Material Design and XAML Examples because that's how it started. But there are quite a few examples that don't use the material design stuff. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I broke my bot, and so yes, Discord link right there. There are quite a few examples inside of here that don't have anything to do with material design and are just straight WPF. Be aware these examples are all minimalist. So I tried to restrict them down to the smallest amount that is needed to show a single concept. So just be aware of that when you are looking at it. but there's quite a bit here in terms of showing all kinds of stuff in here. Another one I will point you to. Oh, so GitHub got a new search feature. I think it dropped today. Oh, I am loving it. I am absolutely loving it. Why am I not seeing? Did it not? Okay. Search feature needs some work. If you would like to see a fully up and running WPF application, here's one here. I will warn you, this is an application that, as the README indicates, I wrote it for a single user, that is me, so it works for me. And if it works for anyone else, that's bonus. It's also, this is an application I started, I don't know, probably close to 9 years ago. And so it's gone through various versions of being updated and changed. And some of the code in there is what Kevin knew 9 years ago, which I have learned enough now to know that I was an idiot. So just be aware, there's a lot of good stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff in here I would look at and go, take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But a lot of it I have been slowly poking at updating. And so if you want to see a way of laying out a more realish looking application that has a SQLite database for it under the hood, this guy can actually give you a reasonable application to launch with. So for what it's worth, it's there. It is, if you're looking for some samples of actually using stuff, I think those are probably good ones to start with. Yeah, and like I said, if you've got questions, you can feel free to drop something on the Discord server. I try to pay attention to Discord. I will be honest, I usually have like 4 or 5 chat applications up and running throughout the day. So I apologize. Between Slack, Teams, Discord, Gitter, Skype, I just things get. No, I do not monitor those ones. My brain just kind of blows up, and I can't keep track of them all. It gets hard after a while. So, but feel free to do so. And also, if I am always open to, if people have suggestions of concepts or topics that they'd like to see me cover, feel free to drop those in. I keep a running Word document. Nights like tonight, I've got an issue that I want to fix. Other nights where if I'm like, I don't know what to work on, I go back to my Word document and I pick something. So sometimes things do show up. Okay, so let's take a look at this guy. So we are going to go in here and we are going to go, let's see, so WPF, okay, and list box. There we are. Go gadget. Because I think the original poster of this issue pretty much called out exactly where it was. Line 281. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that is pretty much spot on the mark. The other thing I wanted to do is there's a couple cleanup tasks in the repository I was going to do that are going to annoy people. So I was going to do them all at once. Okay, 281. Yeah. Okay, so a couple streams ago, I got going on the Visual State Manager animations, making out a custom control and what that looks like. So here we see that the list box item itself. So this is the control template for an individual item in the list box, not the entire list box itself. But the list box item has several states, and you'll note that the states are broken into groups. This is because you can have kind of those two different levels or sets of things to toggle. So for example, in my selection states, I can either be selected, unselected, or selected and unfocused. So I've got, those are my mutually exclusive states that I can be into. And this one here is the problem child, because this is animating to an opacity of more or less completely transparent. Like, let's be clear. 3%, that's not opaque. That's 3% is 3% off of completely transparent. So what this is doing is it's looking down at the selected border here, which uses the foreground to pick the color. So at some point in time, we may circle back. I want to finish my work on changing out all of the way the brushes are done. But this guy here is being set, and he's going to basically nothing. So on selected, it's taking that foreground color and going to 18. I'm kind of curious to know what this looks like if we dial it down to 10. Because I'm honestly not completely opposed to them being almost identical. So let's fire it up. Because having that thing be at 3% is pretty much invisible. Then we'll go through and break some stuff. Because I'd like to get some formatting things put in place. Jared, welcome! We're having fun with WPF. Also, if you didn't catch the beginning of the stream, Jared, I was talking about that. I was talking about learn.getkraken.com. So anybody who missed it, if you're looking to learn Git, this is awesome. And despite the fact that it's from GitKraken, it only uses the UI for learning purposes. The certification stuff is all CLI based. List something or another. Okay. So we've got old. This one must be readme. Oh, selection false. Yeah, so you can see it lightens up just a little when it loses that, but not a lot. I like that a lot better. It's subtle. I wonder if it needs to be a little... Boy, Okay, we're going to try 9%. I don't even know if that's going to be noticeable. I think that's probably pretty close. Let's check light mode here. Ding-ding-ding. So I'm very intentionally moving the selection off of that list box just so you can see there's selected with focus. There's selected without focus. There. Yeah, I think I like that better. Yeah, that I think is a lot better. Okay, we're gonna roll with it. I'm somewhat tempted to write a test for it, and I'm also tempted to go, It's literally a one character change. That's all my opinion based. So we're gonna go with my opinion and just roll with it. Create branch. So fix. And then I need my issue number 1524. Okay. Let's see. Fix. This increases the opacity of the selected but unfocused state of list box items so that it is more visible. Boom, commit, and then we're just gonna click, drag, pull request. Yeah, sure, push. And then, why is it thinking so hard? You should know you're from repo. Ooh. You were thinking way too hard here, buddy. Way too hard. You know you're from repo. Start pull request. Populate. Wow, this 8.10 version is definitely struggling. Okay, so we just roll down here and we open on GitHub. Everybody's updated today, and there are bugs galore. Let's see, and we're gonna put fixes pound 1524. 1524. Yeah, that one. Worth noting, when you do descriptions on GitHub, if the word following the number is something like fixes, resolves, a handful of other words, it will automatically close the issue when this pull request merges. We're going to set the issue there. We're going to enable auto merge. Oh, mwah, love that. Love that. Okay, that handles that. Okay, so next thing. Okay, now we're going to do some stuff that's a little more, we'll say, abusive. Okay, so there are various ways to do formatting inside of this. And oh, you jerk. I don't want to open my editor config like that. Sure, save. What the heck did you change on there just by me opening the editor config? Oh, look at that. That's kind of cool. Great, thanks. Lots of defaults. Now, one of the things that the editor config can get you. So one, if you open it in Visual Studio, just double clicking on the editor config. Before, this used to just be an ugly text file that you had to parse yourself. Now there's all of this nice, useful stuff. And it's actually kind of convenient because Visual Studio will even tell you what the setting is, and then more importantly, where this thing came from, so that you have an idea of, who's to blame. The nice part with the editor config is you can check it in. It means everybody on a variety of editors gets the same setup. I think all of the major .NET tooling, like the JetBrains tooling, respects your editor config, VS Code, Visual Studio, all those guys. I'm trying to think if there's any other major tools out there. Everybody I know writing .NET stuff is either using one of the Visual Studio ones, or they are using JetBrains, or they're just on a straight text editor, which may or may not respect your editor config. Regardless, there are spacing though, and I do not want to open this editor config with the nice, pretty GUI. So we're going to go open with, we're going to go down here, source code text editor. Okay, so you'll note that there is this indentation size, but more importantly, you can change this on a per file type basis. So you can see here that this is matching on all files, and so this has some set of changes for all files and new lines, and then there's a bunch of C# related changes and whatnot. But what I think I would like to do, I just want to make sure there's nothing in here already. Yeah, is I want to set up a couple of these things for XAML. So we're gonna go with this indentation, and so we're gonna do, I want to do this because one of the things that always bothers me about XAML is XAML gets very nested very quickly. Like, it's an XML based language, which isn't horrible, but it is really obnoxious to work with. So one of the things I'm going to do is dial this guy down to just change the indent style to 2. So now if I come in here and I run, so for example, we could do the, what is it? Not G, what is the search? Feature search, Control Q. That's what I'm looking for. So if we do format document, right? So Control K, Control D. Control KD, you'll note it just unindented everything. Now I could go through all of the files and do this manually. Oh, and I didn't limit this down to the right files. Whoopsie. So we're gonna do something like this. Paste this here, XAML/XML files. So if we do star.xaml, star.xml, we're going to limit it down to that. Okay, I think that's what we want. I might even go a little more thing and do star.csproj, star.targets, star.props. That's probably good enough. Okay, so now if we open up something like this and I go Control KD, huh? Why did you not pick that up? Okay, I have messed up my language specifier here. Let's see. We might have to look this up real quick. Editor config by file extensions. Something. Something like this. Something like this. One of you two is probably going to have what I need. Yeah. It's tiny and it's hard to read. That's what I need. Yeah, I want that. So curly brace and then comma separated. Got it. So curly brace. They had the dot on the outside, yeah. And then they just did this. Save. Come back over here. Control KD. Formatted nicely. Control KD. Perfect. Now, do you have a code styler for WPF? Are you using the XAML styler extension? So, yes-ish. So we did start to pull in the XAML styler extension. I have yet to get a good config put in place. So I think I want to do both of these things. I want to start with the editor config just to get the basic indentation right, because XAML styler runs on top of Visual Studio, and not everybody may have it. And so editor config is the least common denominator to get widespread adoption, but I do want XAML styler on top of it. And if I get really aggressive, I almost want XAML styler run as part of my GitHub action to enforce it as well. So I usually have I try to make contribution as easy as possible for people. So if people get things like formatting wrong, I try not to ding them on it. However, I also try to write automation that fixes it for them. That way everybody gets what they want. New people don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to set up the right formatting. The tooling should just do it for them. Because things like indent size, that's a tooling problem. Right? That should not be a big deal. Now, we can cheat though. We can cheat because I'm not going to go through all of these files and edit them myself. No. That would be way too much work. So, enter .NET Global Tools. .NET format. Let's see. I don't remember the tool. Close. .NET format. Do you have an open source config for XAML? Can you share? I think this one might be the first one that I have in an open source project. So this one, once it goes up, will be that. Yeah, I'm just looking. Where's the... That's what I want. I don't really want to do version 7 stuff. I don't need anything that fancy. So, .NET Global Tools are awesome because they are a nice and easy way to get cool extensions for your CLI. Okay, so you'll note I now have the following command, .NET format. Huzzah! For those people who may not have caught this already, so .NET tools can be installed in one of two ways, either globally for your whole system or on a per repository basis. And so if you do the install as a local tool, what you end up getting is a little JSON file that sits at the root of your repo that somebody else can then say, oh, okay, install all the local tools that I need for this repo. That way there's a common manifest and everybody gets the same set of stuff and everyone's happy. In this case, I just want to use it myself, and so I'm just going to apply it everywhere. Okay, so, but I now have .NET format. Do all the things. Let's see. Multiple solution files. Well, doesn't that just bite? Yeah. What solution file did I open? Material Design Toolkit 4. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Tab, tab, tab. That one. Formatting code. So, the .NET format tool by default, if you do nothing, it will look at your editor config and go, I got you. And it will rip through all of your files and apply that formatting. So this is a very quick and easy way to format code in bulk. And you can also feed it individual files and different options and all of that. Like it's got configuration available if you want it. However, in my case, I prefer to just turn it loose. Okay, so it's got a whole mess of stuff, but we're under source control, so we don't care. So we come over here, and this is why I say this is gonna anger some people, because I apologize to everybody who might have work in progress. I have probably just guaranteed you a conflict. So so I'm noticing it dropped the new lines at the end of the file. I'm not sure I want that. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to just double click it to get back into here. And I think new line. I think I actually want that on. I think. Let's run that one more time. This is the beautiful part of this, is I can just kind of fire this off and try it. Sorry, one of my colleagues is spamming me. He is working at an hour that sane people should not be working. Okay. Yeah, so that formatted all the code. 22 seconds. That's not bad considering how many files there are. Okay, so we've got a much smaller set of changes. The other thing you'll note, it does the cleanup and sort of usings, which is great. I approve. Let's see. So I just kind of want to check this. So now it's inserting the empty line at the end of files that didn't have it, which is fine. As long as there's an agreed upon standard, this looks to be the smaller of the two. I would rather it, and so you'll see it's showing files as unchanged. This is likely due to white space. Yeah. So, worth noting, when you have diff tools turned on, every diff tool worth its salt has a white space toggle. So at least in Git Kraken, if you see file contents are unchanged, that's kind of a misleading name. Its file contents are unchanged with the current filter applied. So for what it's worth. I'm just kind of spot checking a few of these to see what's going on, and I don't think there's any major issues. Okay, so I think this is good. I like this. I'm a little surprised I don't see... Yeah, it didn't format my XAML files, which I expected to see a big number here. Let me look. Just take a quick look at this thing here. All files are formatted if empty. Why? We could probably just do .NET formats -f dot and turn it loose. So for the -f is just going to treat it as a folder, which is going to be slightly different behavior. That's interesting because the only thing that picked up was there. It's interesting that it says that the default for exclude and include is empty, but that does not match the behavior. Include star.xaml. I disagree with you. Let's see here. Can I just feed you current directory is used? Yeah, about that. I'm going out on a limb here and calling bull. Something isn't doing what I expect. I expect this thing to include I'm just wondering if this thing is expected to not, because I will say I've typically always used this with C# files, so this is interesting. I didn't realize they had these extra ones on here. That's cool. And naturally they're using system command line, which makes me happy. Solution folders, fix analyzer, diagnostics. Now support analyzers with update and such. I'm glad, but that's not helping me. What version did I install? I don't even remember what version it was. Well, fine. .NET version or .NET format -- version. Take a look. So 5.1 22507. So this is slightly newer. It doesn't look to be. Let's go back down to those examples because I think I'm going to just CD directly into that. Oh, that is the WPF. I want to be here. So it's just really not going to play nice for me. Let's see. Include. I mean, do I need to be more explicit and say current directory /XAML? Do that. Boy, you don't. Okay, next place we're gonna look. Doesn't format. Oh, yeah. And possibly it doesn't format any other. Could there be an option to include these files, include non-code? Well, look at that. Yes, that's exactly what I would like. Okay, fine. We'll do this. We'll do this a different way then. You have mildly helped me. Tools. We're gonna go with code cleanup. Run code cleanup. Well, let's start with configure code cleanup. So remove unnecessary using sort, apply header preferences. Sort, import, file header preferences. Move this down here. We're gonna go with profile 2. I do love that this window doesn't support the theming and is not hip to font sizes. Sigh, Visual Studio, sigh. Okay, let's see. So we're gonna go Q, clean up, profile 2, and hopefully this one does a little bit better. What I want to see is this themes number get bigger. Themes number bigger. Kind of hard to see. So far I've only seen .cs go across the line. Cancel. I don't know why you think you need to save a file. Thinking. I mean, at a bare minimum, I'm gonna check this in and have it go, and that'll be that. But I kind of want to subscribe to this one. Boy, Romuald, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Okay. Oh, you're still going. My mistake, Visual Studio. Please continue. Okay, well, I'm taking this opportunity for my invisible Mountain Dew, which is clearly green, for what it's worth. Oh, I'm betting. Okay, so each of these progress things are probably each of those steps. Okay, that was a lot. Just check. Did you change the stuff I expect? Well, that number got a lot bigger. That's promising. Let's see here. No, you didn't update my XAML files, which is less promising. I mean, I'm happy you changed all these files and cleaned them up, but you did not format all my XAML files, you jerk. Okay. What is the easiest way to do this? What is the easiest way to apply editor config changes on a large scale to non... Is the easiest thing to just open them all? Just feels so bad and yucky. Like, I don't want to go... What? Why did that not format? Oh, did it undo my editor? Wait. No. No. We saw this work. XAML targets props. Okay, close that. I should be able to open you. Well, that one's already appears formatted. You don't have anything in you. You're already formatted. You don't care, you don't care, you don't care. Okay, if I go here, this is clearly indented by 4 spaces. Okay. That did what I expected. Okay. You just lost your mind for a moment. How do I guess XAML styler is probably the easiest way to go about doing this. So let's now, if we're gonna do it, let's do all the thing. Okay, so now I have to remember how to use this thing. So inside of XAML styler adds itself as options here, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so and I think if I remember right, we added a XAML style thingy to the repo. I could just be misremembering. I thought we did one. Now, the one thing I will say is I was doing some work the other day on Ma apps, which Material Design does have integration with, and they have a very nice pull that up. Actually reset it here. Thanks. And push. You'll note my PR merged. They have a nice XAML styler configuration. So let's file open in VS Code. Let's take a quick gander at theirs, because I think we can just pull that in and use that as a reasonable starting location. Where do it live? Settings XAML styler. Yeah, so we're gonna just poach this thing real quick. Open containing folder. We don't have an existing one, right? Yeah, we don't have an existing one. So I want to use File Explorer, Settings XAML. Alt E, for those people unfamiliar with it, opens, or I'm sorry, Alt O, opens the File Explorer for your current repo from Gatecrack. Those who care, which I find to be incredibly useful at times. And then paste. We're going to add that to our solution items. Here we go. Okay, indent size. We're going to change that. Let's see. Keep first attribute on the same line. We may change some of these, but I think reorder visual state manager, reorder grid children, reorder canvas children. Yeah, so reordering children usually doesn't matter inside of WPF. I say usually. There are it does technically affect the Z order of items, and can, if people have built their stuff relying on that, that can break them. Interesting. Okay. Comment padding. comma off, fix that up. Okay, now if I recall correctly, I can get XAML styler as a tool as well. Actually, if we do here, yeah, I believe this thing comes in a right click with anywhere and format script integration. That's what I want. Yeah, see, there is a .NET global tool. See, okay, so we're going there. Install tool globally. Okay, and then XAML. So this is the .NET global tools. If you wanted to set it up on as a local tool in a repo, see, these are the directions there. Basic usage. Let's see. Default directory to process XAML files in. And okay, so I think I want to do directory current, and I want to do recursive, and I want to tell it the config file. I want to specify those three. Okay, so I want to do, what is it, X styler. Let's just make sure you work. Great. You aren't using system command line, which immediately makes me, okay, I need to stop adopting programs to update the system command line, but I kind of want to look now at what they're using. I can't help myself. Okay. What are you using as your command line processor? Oh, command line processor. Or command line parser. Could be worse. Could be worse. Oh, it's okay. Okay, but it doesn't work nicely. Okay, so we are going to do, yeah, and there's a lot more here than what is, oh, all of these are to override the other bits. Okay, whatever. So directory current, we want to do recursive, and we want to do a config file of, what's that? Settings. That's better. Okay. So now all I've done is edit about 783 files. See, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Because if you're going to make a commit, you go big. So this added a space after the comment. And this is where I kind of go in here and want to double check some of these things. Space before closing slash. That's fine. I think if I go into the options now, don't you pick up let's see, what was the tools options? I wonder if I have to reboot. Indent size, attribute reordering, comment padding, external configuration file. I think if I restart, it'll pick it up. I'm gonna save and relaunch. I want to see. Thought there was a magical thing that if you set it. Documentation. I thought if you have the right name, element formatting, miscellaneous, external configuration. Inside a settings.xaml styler file in any directory up to your solution, and this will take precedence. Ah, see? I believe that is what we named it. Settings. Oh, they have it lowercased here. Okay. Not that it will matter, because if you're doing WPF work, you're working on Windows, which means you are sort of by definition going to be on NTFS, but we'll change that really quick. Look, in demo tabs, blah blah blah, they show all of this stuff. Okay, and I don't doubt that they have a ton of configuration options. Okay. Yeah, they've got a bunch of stuff here. Comment padding. I think that's the setting that's adding the 2. But if we can go through and leverage this is sort of how I like to do these types of big formatting changes, is run it, kind of spot check a bunch of files and make sure they look reasonable, and then kind of tweak the configs as you go. Okay, so there is... So if I go Tools, Options, do you show... If I do comment padding, the number of spaces the XAML comment should be padded with. Default values 2. So if I do that, does that edit this file? Does not. That's a little disappointing that the settings file won't pick it up. Okay, let's run this thing through again, and then we're going to go spot check more files. Okay, and see what it did. Okay, so indent, did all of that. Like that. Move the based on in front of the target type. We changed that. Attribute ordering rule groups. Let's see. Based on. Let's see, their sample one that they had doesn't show it. I believe there's a way to attribute reordering. This is what I want. Let's see. Default attribute reorder groups. Each string element is one group. Wildcards allowed. In groups from top to bottom and within groups left to right. So if I do this and go target type, because I'd like it if it didn't do, if it didn't move target type to the end, because my opinion is I'd rather see target type at the beginning and based on after that. Let's try that. I think that's a preferable outcome. Did not change. See you, Jared. Let's see. Order it. So can I just put based on down here? Seems like that should force the format. Okay, so target type now is at the front. Good. Okay, so target type before based on. There, so once I specify both of them, they got the order. what I would argue is correct. Okay, Visual State Manager was pushed to the end. And we typically have it at the beginning. So, reorder VSM. That has a 2. I don't know what that means. So let's go back to here and take a look at this. Element reordering. Assume it's going to be in here. Reorder visual state. When set to first or last, will be moved to the first or last child element as parent. Otherwise, it will not be moved. Options none. Leave as is. First, last. Okay, so I wish it would show the key here rather than just the name. I think if I go back here, it has... that's not what I was looking for. Oh, the external configuration. Yeah, so this one shows a 2 as well, but it seems to imply that I can do that. Okay, and I am looking at still the generic one. Let's try that and see what that does. Okay, so that left the Visual State Manager at the beginning, which I think is preferable. Let's see, it reordered target name in front of target property. I don't really care about that. I do like cleaning these up. That is nice. That is nice. That's also nice. Okay, this is looking a lot better. This is looking a lot better. Yeah, I think I like this better. Okay. So that gets me to there. Just spot check a couple more of these. All of those seem fine. Let's go down to something a little more interesting. Holy cow. Hold that thought. I have a very large insect that has just decided to visit me. My door is closed. I think it just came in through my AC unit. Come here, you. Come here. You're gonna make a... Stand by. Okay, when I freak out later, because I have no idea where it went. This is a fairly large sized moth. It must have come in via my AC unit. Because my door is closed, and that is the biggest place where there's holes to the exterior world. Huh. That's exciting. It wanted Mountain Dew. It's possible. It's possible. And that's actually what got my attention, is it fluttered near my open can. So, at some point, I'm sure it's going to rear its head again. Or I might literally have a bug. Okay. So this one here, move the comments down. That's not ideal. But I also don't like the comments at the end of the line anyway. And those are things that are going to get changed up, so that may be okay. Let's see, do you have a... wonder if that's under miscellaneous. Format, comment padding. Yeah, so we changed the comment padding. Thickness formatting. Default value, comma. I think all of ours are already set to that. Thickness. Doesn't show. See, I wish it would. The get reformat if content appears to be a thickness. So that's fine. I'm just wondering where thickness separator style. Oh, see, okay. I don't like how some of these things, and I get why they were done like this, but I'm guessing these must be enums. Okay, reorder setters. So let me go and look at element reordering. Reorder setters. Property, target name, then property. Let's see. In an ascending fashion. So we were looking at, so it was set to 3. What is 3 going to be then? That's going to 0, 1, 2, target name, and then property. I think this is the same, but we're going to put this thing here and then relook at that generic.xaml to see what it does. Okay. Back up to here. Target name and then property. Yeah, that looks to be the same. Okay, I kind of prefer that. Line break rule. So I'm going to try to switch these things from integers back to named things because I'm guessing they must be enums on the back side. So that is probably going to be line break rule. What is line break rule going to be? Break. Not that one. What is around it? Root element, line break rule. So it's probably going to be one of these. Root element, line break between attributes. Define whether attributes of a document root element are broken into multiple lines. Default, always, never. And we were going with always. Okay, I think I like that better. Attribute indentation style. So let's go here. Attribute formatting. Indentation style. Mixed. I heard spaces. The goal here is, even though that we're doing a ton of changes, I kind of want this to match as much as possible. Attribute indentation 0, attributes per line, attribute tolerance. I don't know what tolerance is. Defines the maximum number of attributes allowed on a single line. If the number of attributes exceeds this value, we'll break the attributes across multiple lines. Okay, so 2 seems reasonable. Okay, so the remaining numbers are all actually integer values. Okay, so let's do this. This will get XAML styler in and running. Now the question is how aggressive do I want to enforce it? don't want to enforce it too strong. Because again, the goal is to be friendly to contributors. I don't want to make this a painful thing for people to work with. Sorry, I'm just checking some of these to make sure that I don't need to format. Oh, my editor config doesn't handle config files. I don't know if it should. We're gonna let that go. Okay, so I think we're gonna ship this. We're gonna go here, create branch, apply formatting. You can see my other PR already merged and auto-completed and did the needful, which is just wonderful. So we'll blow away our local branch. Don't need that anymore. Okay. Formatting all source code. Let's see. This applies .NET format and XAML styler. Pulled by editor config. Pulled by whatever the name of that root file is. Settings.xaml styler. Okay. Commit changes. And again, to anybody with pending work out there, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Because this is going to make... It's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a big one. Okay. It's going into 4.7. And yep. Ship it. Wow, you know it's great when GitHub is sitting there. Sorry, I just gotta screenshot this because sometimes you just gotta screenshot those types of things. And enable auto merge. Okay. Let's see, it's 10:30. Are there any open PRs? This theme brush one I want to get in. I'm wondering if I should just snipe a couple things here. Switching to... Gonna look at this. This is a this is nice, and I'm a little torn on this. Like, on one hand, this is a rather clever thing. On the other hand, it also generally not recommend to use new expressions and properties. Generator provides this capability. Yeah, this is an interesting idea. I don't know if I want it right now, though. Clear some of this stuff out. Let's come back here. Go back and look. Let's see. System resource dictionary warning level 5. Currently running .NET Framework 4.8. I'm going to let's just address some of these. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna. Yeah. Problem is there's been so many of these things coming in. It's been hard to keep up with all of them. Hard to keep up with all of them. Overflowing the text box inside a data grid. Can't set padding. So this is going outline text box, set padding. This is interesting to me. Oh yeah, I did look at this. Boy. Station is just not fired. Oh boy. I might go back and start poking at that other branch that I was sitting on. Let's see. Don't need this branch. Let's get rid of you. And actually, you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna just do. Let's see, switch back here. Come on. And pull. And then I'm going to select a bunch of these branches. And I'm just going to delete them. Yeah, because all of those are just fixing stuff. Occasionally I do this where I'll just go through and blow stuff away. Some of these I may have unpushed changes in, so you want to be a little careful, but some of these I recognize the name of. Okay, so this new theme brush name, this is an old one. This is an old one. Now, you can see there's quite a few commits here. And more importantly, you can also see that this is fairly old. So I would like to rebase this onto master. The problem being is if I rebase this onto master, this thing is going to end up taking every single one of these. Oh, I should close down Visual Studio before it gets too carried away. Visual Studio is going to try and help me, and I don't really want it helping me. Delete. So the easiest way to do this is to take this guy, and my preferred way of doing it is to squash the commits. Because now when I rebase, I have one commit to replay. Only 23 conflicts. That's a lot fewer than I expected. Okay, so let's see. What is going on here? Master added net 6. Don't know why that's a conflict. Oh, because previously... Yeah, I don't see it. Okay, that's an easy one to resolve. Take the net 6 one. Same thing here. Shoot, if this is going to be the only set of changes. Okay, initialize with material design, light primary color adjustment. Boy, it looks like the only difference is the white space. This is going to be the easiest rebase in the world if this is all this is. Ah, there we are. There we are. Let's see. So I think in a lot of these cases, I probably am just going to take the side on master. Because the only significant changes on any of these... Now this one I might want to keep. This one I might want to keep. So we're going to take this one on master, but these two lines on my branch. Because the whole point of this branch is changing up the names of the brushes. And This one we want to take here. Yeah, the only time I want to take my my changes are the times when it's explicitly a brush name. Okay, so this is going to be a miserable nightmare. This is probably a case where we just do this and call it a day. Yeah, we're probably going to do that because there's been so many changes on here. I don't want to even fight with that. So this one I think I can hand merge. Like that. To the next one. Once again, I think I can mostly hand merge this. No, I can't. But what I can do is I can check this box here, but I can come over here and grab this, copy this, paste this here, and then turn that line off. Okay. Three-way merging and get cracking for the win. Again, I think I can auto merge this. Thickness, border brush. I want mine. And then I want this one on the other side. Yep. Next. Let's see. Border, margin. Oh, so I want to take all of this one, then part of this one, and I want to copy this, and I want to change the background there, and then I want to strip that line out. Okay. This is another one where I think I can do this. Background remain transparent. Border brush. Slap that in, and then thickness, corner radius. And we're just going to unindent this thing. I heard it. The moth. You know it's big when I can actually hear it thunking into things through my headphones. A big sucker. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. So this one here is foreground, I believe, is the change. Yeah, so we're gonna do this plus this, copy the key, and replace the foreground one here. I know I'm gonna have to go through all of the code anyway, though, and search for the old keys in use. Only because I know that there were enough instances where new stuff has been added that would have had no idea of what the changes were. Let's see. I think I can just blindly take mine on both of these. Okay. Let's see. This one I want that on. Okay, so this one I want to take background, foreground, border brush, and then I want to take border thickness, font size on that side. It doesn't really matter though. They're identical. Let's see here. What's the change here? Is there even a brush in this? I don't see a brush in this. We're just gonna take that one, save. Oy vey, 16 more to go. This is gonna be exciting. Okay. So, padding, background helper text solves that one. Let's see, border thickness on this side, border brush on this side, padding on this side. Okay. Let's see, so what do we got going on here? This initially had the border brush being set here. So I mostly want this, sans the border brush, and then this border brush here. Next. Okay. And then it's going to be a minor miracle. Why are these not with the other? I think I just take this side because it doesn't look like those values have changed. We'll keep that. Group box. Let's see here. Let's see, dock panel top, binding, effect. I think in this case, this is going to be close to what the XAML styler ends up doing anyway, so we're going to go with that side. Let's see, foreground. I want this. Actually, I guess in this case, I can take all of these. Oh boy. I think we go here. Yeah, because I think this one got moved into a different file. Okay. What do we got here? So I want this one, but then I want this one. Yeah. Okay, save. Let's see here. So this is a mostly want this. And then I want to grab you and you. So background wants to be this key. Paste, and border wants to be this key. Okay, turn those back off. Rest of it remains the same. Okay, so background. This is material design menu. This goes background transparent. Let's see, so we want that to begin with. This thing's not setting them anymore, so I don't know if I actually care. I think we just take this side and call it a day. Yeah, I think we just take this side and call it a day. Password box. Oh boy. Let's see here. This is almost assuredly going to be wrong, but we are going to keep on the path. Background transparent. There. Caret brush. There. Selection brush. There. Horizontal content alignment. Vertical. Focus. Allow drop. This has underline brush, so we're gonna go there, there, there. Underline brush on this side, foreground brush on this side. Okay. Let's see, padding background. So we're gonna take the padding on this side, background key on this side, border brush on this side, padding on this side. Hey, this is a complicated rebase. There. Let's see, border brush. Take this one. Actually, we're going to take the entire thing on this side. Okay. 9 left. I need to open my Mountain Dew. Okay, so we want foreground on this side. Ripple feedback here. But I want to keep the elevation property that was set there. Okay. This needs to not be that value though. This needs to be this value. I think. Yeah, we're gonna let it go back to the original. Worst case scenario, I lose some of my changes, and I've already... These have gotten so far out of date that I'm kind of okay with it. But we're now at the point where the 5.0 is on the horizon, and this is one of the sets of changes that I really want to make sure make it for the 5.0 release. I'm also contemplating just cutting a branch for 5.0 early and starting to work on it. And I don't even want to deal with that. There's going to be so many of those that are going to be wrong. Yeah, we're just... that's... The fancy term for this is rainbow merge. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, I mostly want all of this except for the foreground. I do want that itty bitty little change there. And some of these probably need to end up becoming some of these foreground brushes probably need to end up becoming specific brushes. So the big idea here for all of these is we want to have a little bit more fine-grained control over the individual brushes, because a common request that comes up is people wanting detailed control over individual parts of a template. And normally I try to just guide people in rolling their own template, but that's not a great experience, especially if you would like to tweak just a small color. If you want to do a whole layout change, then yeah, roll your own template. At that point, you've deviated far enough. But some of this stuff, it's probably... Or actually, let's take it on this side. It's not going to matter, though. For just things like color, it doesn't make sense to make people have to go through and do a ton of work. Like, for example, changing the carrot color or similar. That's not something I would want somebody to have to spend a bunch of time changing. And so having a little more fine-grained control over each of those things. And right now, this is just converting over so that we have that possibility. It's not exposing every possible color as its own individual thing that you can change. There's a handful of things that get added with this, but not a ton. Okay, there's 3. Padding from this side, background from this side, border brush here, padding here. Let's see, border here, background here. Let's see, border brush here. Or actually, we'll take that whole thing, please. take the border brush here and the footer. That's interesting. Are we throwing anything away here? No, these just got reordered. Sorry, the difference where the property came before the target name threw me for a minute. Okay, so there's all that. There's all that. Save. We'll say I am remarkably impressed that there is not more changes needed. Let's see, border thickness, border brush, adding. Let's see here. So this is really just the border brush. So let's take this side, add you. Actually, I guess I can just turn you off. That gets me to the right state. Cool. Save. Almost done. Almost done. Okay, there. Let's see. Brush on this side. There. We want this entire chunk. There, and oop, not that one. That one. Yeah. So it's not obvious. This three-way merge section down at the bottom is what I'm trying to track in terms of making sure that the appropriate change makes it across. So this is all going to be related to this stuff down here. But it looks like before we were setting some colors. What's the change up here that broke it? Am I missing a brush? I don't see a brush up here. Oh, foreground on the toggle button. That was just a template binding. That's not a no dynamic resource. We're going to take this whole thing here. Down here, the border brush is the kicker. So we're going to go there. Or the background. We'll put the background in there. Just gonna backspace that. Then the border brush is next. Put that in, unindent. And let's see, border thickness, corner radius, effect. There. We end up with this side here, with the exception of these two properties that came in order and changed as expected. Okay, perfect. These are all just template bindings. Let's see why I don't just take this. Next. Wait, let's see. Background looks to be the only thing here that is a... But I don't see background set on this side. Yeah, so we're just going to take this thing wholesale. Yeah, so this one here is going to be background, border, min height, margin, snap to pixels. Let's see. Border thickness, padding, horizontal, vertical alignment, font weight, foreground. I want the new brush name. And then the feedback for the ripple, I want the new brush name. Okay. This one, I think I want this. Save. Let's see, we want the master side of things. I don't think I want any of that. Yeah. And then we're going to come down here. I think we're going to take these tests here on the master side. Not stress about the rest. Okay, continue rebase. Oh boy. Okay, so realize I did all of that, and I'm gonna push really quick just because we got that in sync. But then I am gonna rebase it one more time now that the formatting was applied, and we're gonna see how bad it is. Oh, oh, oh. Actually, rather than rebasing this, abort rebase. I think there's a cleaner way to do this rebase. So, step 1, apply the XAML styler. Step 2, .NET format. I think I can just go up. Where is that's the install. Yeah, so we can just do this. Because rerunning these same tools should get my branch with roughly the same formatting as everything else. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do this. And then, because I want to avoid making my life miserable, I amend my previous commit so that the formatting changes are all part of this. And then when I rebase, a lot of these changes should drop. So you'll note that 700 modified. Right? A few added, a few deleted. The vast majority of these things should be cleaned up. Oh, look at that. What the heck? Why are you still in such disarray? I think that made it worse, not better. How? Okay, hold on. Abort rebase. Abort rebase. What? How did we get ourselves into this situation? Okay. Because this should have been formatted appropriately. We have a single commit. Right, so here's the before the format, 150. After the format. Right, all of those are in there. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Those should all be the same. When I rebase, it reapplies my commit on top of the other one. There's now 375. I am confused. So a lot of these are... Oh, that doesn't matter. So let's look at something that's conflicted. So this thing is saying master is set there. Huh? Oh, I can't do that while... Hang on, let's back this up one more time. Something seems very off. Specifically around the XAML styler. I'm wondering if... Interesting to me that I have a different set of changes. Oh, stage, amend, amend. Because in theory, running this multiple times shouldn't yield different results. I expect that that doesn't change much, but maybe. Wow. Interesting. Okay, so abort. Let's go back to before we did that. When we went here and then rebased, we had far fewer conflicts. Still 134, and oh, this one also had code cleanup run on it. I bet you that's the other difference. Is we ran code cleanup in addition to .NET format. Okay, hold on. I think we actually do want to do this. So let's do a... Let's go back and run .NET format. So we'll run .NET format, XAML styler, then code cleanup. Maybe we should run code cleanup, then XAML styler, just so that the order of the tools, they shouldn't be conflicting with each other. Okay. There's the .NET format. Let's see. Open Visual Studio and we'll run code cleanup, profile 2. I'd like to get this guy merged and then move on my merry way. Bum. Okay, so code, extra points for spelling code correctly because spelling's hard. In case anybody hasn't seen my shirt, yes, spelling is hard. Okay, profile 2. It's basically misspellings of the word program multiple times before amending it and going with I write code. Because that's how I name variables. Is I start with the correct variable name, and then I slowly refactor the variable name until I get a word short enough that I can spell it. Or I cave and use a spell checker. Or on occasion, I just submit code with typos in it, and it provides opportunities for people to correct my work. That's it. Opportunities to have your work corrected. I'm just testing people to see how closely they're code reviewing. Yeah, we're going to go with that. That sounds better. It cleverly ignores the fact that I can't spell to save my life. Come on, Visual Studio. Go, go, go. Come on. Come on. Hey, I forgot how long this code cleanup took the first time. Days. Though, on a positive note, it will mean that all of the code is then in a much cleaner state. Come on. Clean up all of the code. Clean it all up. It is worth considering, though, where I want to do the XAML styler enforcement. For now, I might just not enforce it and just periodically run it myself. That's an option. Again, the goal is to try to keep the bar for contributions low because I want people to be able to contribute. And if you set the bar too high, you'll miss out on contributions. Okay, so there's that. Now we do XAML styler. Okay. We stage, we amend, we close Visual Studio because it's only going to freak out with what we're about to do. Visual Studio does not approve of you ripping the file system out from under it. Okay. Now we rebase. Okay. Dang it. Still the high conflict numbers. I guess I'm just going to have to go through and wait. Ah ha ha. Oh. Suck. Why does it show master unformatted? This is what confuses me. Do I not have my local master? Like, this has all of those changes. Right? Like, I'm very confused why let's pick on something that I know got formatted. It's like master doesn't have these formatting changes on there. Abort rebase. I'm gonna leave that there for the moment. I want to switch back to master. And I would like to rerun, because it seems like the XAML styler one is the... Does this have a bunch of pending changes now? No. Huh? So we're fine with that. So we put the attribute onto the first line. And then we lined everything up. Which I'm good with that. That makes sense. What I'm confused about is here, when I look at this one shows them on different lines. It's like I got a different set of formatting. Oh. Oh. I did get a different set of form. Oh. Because I don't have this file. Oh, on my branch. I need this file. What did that say? Copy file path. I need a copy of this file. So let's go back here. That's what's going on. Okay, that's what's going on. So when I'm running XAML styler and the editor, I'm not getting... Okay, so I need these two files copied out of the directory. Okay, I get you now. It's like, man, that should be working. I don't know. Don't I have like a local temp temp. Yeah, you. Stay there for a second. Okay, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Okay. Okay. I got you now. I got you now. Okay, so what we need is... now we need these two files placed back in place. Replace file in the destination. Yada, yada, yada. Great. Now when I run .NET format... Okay, so I was running the tools. They were just using... Because the config files were checked in separately, they were using default configs, or at least not the same configs, and therefore they were causing more problems than they were solving. Okay. I was very confused about that. Okay, that explains why we had so many problems. Okay. Now, if we take this, stage all, amend... Only modified 867 files. Now when we rebase, the conflict count should be significantly lower. What? Okay, I'm going to pick on one of these. These are needed changes, though. Oh, so these ones might legitimately be actual changes. Whatever you start first. Sorry, apparently whatever you start first is started first. Sorry, Justin Bieber, I'm not sure I track. Oh man, so I'm gonna have a bunch of using statements to go through and resolve. Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. It is 11:15 here, and my Mountain Dew is empty, and I'm starting to fade, and there's a large moth that I'm sure is going to jump out and scare the crap out of me at some point. So, I will continue this rebase on a clear head later. But for now, thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. Again, if anybody's interested in learning more Git stuff, learn.gitkraken.com is an excellent resource. Highly recommend going through the free course that they have up there. You can get a great certificate at the end as well. I felt like it was a very worthwhile use of my time, so feel free to check it out. With that, I'm going to tell everybody happy coding. See everyone next time. Have a good night.